Okay, this is a video review of my mixing process on a song called Can You Feel It, which is a song that I've inserted, so to speak, into my capstone project. Something I was thinking of doing earlier on. It's mainly, well, it is MIDI tracks. There's no live instruments tracked. So this is all done in my home studio. Other than, well, vocals were done in my home studio too. But I did use microphone from Recording Arts, MXL 2010, here in the studio to record that. Plus a preamp that I don't even know if I used a preamp. Anyway, that's not the point. I basically had to put this song in because I needed to at least have 5, or I wanted to at least have 5, and one of the songs from one of my other artists just isn't quite where it needs to be. So I just had to make the point where I can mix what I have that's already been recorded and is done and tracked out completely, versus still trying to get all of the right tracking done on another song that I really don't have control over. So this song has 43 tracks. 40, is it 43? No, actually it's 48. It turns out it's 48 tracks. So pretty crazy. Anyway, get that out of the way, and I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna briefly go through what I did. So basically, the priority on this hook, a priority on this song was to get the hook. The hook is the hook of the song, really. No pun intended. That's what it's all about. So the idea is that it's supposed to be very atmospheric, kind of jungleistic yet futuristic. It's like primitive yet futuristic, science fiction almost kind of sound. Let's see, there you can see me scrolling along with all these tracks. I don't know if you can really see that, but yeah, you see the screen moving, see that? That's my 48 tracks of instruments. A lot of it is vocals, which is really crazy. About half of them are vocals, between my rap vocal, singing, and a bunch of different harmony parts. So that's why the hook is the key. And basically, I had tweaked this song so many times that the hook, the vocals on the hook were pretty much set. I had done panning. I had done where I did something where basically there were slight variations in the pan with those all of the vocals. I don't know how close I can get on this, but these are the pan settings. There you go. So this is the hook right here. You see like how I kind of pan some of these. There are higher voices and then lower voices and the middle voices. Similar to what you saw, you should know, I kind of usually layer the higher tones and layer the lower tones to kind of build this kind of thick top, thick bottom, and then fill in the middle, and whatever notes need that extra layer, I'll do like an extra layer for them to give them a little more substance. And then there's some slight pannings. I'll usually pan the ones that are duplicates the same, but sometimes you do pan them a little bit less, so it just fills a different space in the hook. The only thing I really did with these vocals was I put a chorus on them, air chorus. Probably can't see that. There we go. Not very good. But anyway, so that was my plug in there. Right now you're listening to where I did a modulation on these last few choruses. Used elastic audio to do a step up transpose, and then I did another one, as you hear right there. So it starts to sound very I don't know, robotic science fiction, like I said. Trying to make this kind of brief. So that's pretty much what I did for the hook. And again, once I had the hook set, it kind of made the way for the rest of it. These are, let's see. Yeah, the rap vocal was kind of tricky. I did quite a few things with the rap vocal. Let me hold on here. Try to skip ahead to the rap verse. There's the mix down there. I've already mixed it, like so. Back up just a bit. Okay, so here on the rap verse, I basically did 3 tracks. One is like, you know, my natural main voice, which is the one in the middle. No, actually it's the first one. And what I did was, obviously it's pulled up higher, it's a fader. And what I did was I put a short delay on that, give it some more thickness, some fuller sound. Ended up compressing it. Did have some reverb, but I made that inactive. Didn't really want it. Just didn't really sound right. I kind of decided I wanted to just be like one of the drier vocals of the whole song compared to some of the other ones. Then there's the lower voice where I was doing it kind of, it was kind of a harmony, but in a spoken lower tone. So I put the same air filter on that. I did EQ that one because it needed to, what did I do on EQ? Come on. Yeah. Again, a 2.5 boost to give it articulation. There. And then, oh, you know what? No, that's the higher one. The higher one I did that with. Dang it. So there's an air filter on the higher one, and you kind of hear that. It sounded like a little bit robotic, and that was a special effect I wanted on that. And then I panned it to the right, 39, right there. That. So that one's panned to the right. The lower one is panned to the left, and then the main one is in the middle. And see, this one's like at 30. Well, they're both at 39 to each side. But this one's pulled up higher, and it makes the higher tone. It has this kind of robotic, almost, yeah, there we go, alien. That's the word I'm trying to think of, like an alien tone. And then, like I said, I put that's from the filter. EQ'd it to give it some more articulation, and it cut through a little bit better. And it's kind of blending with the main one, and then I compressed all of them. I'll just show you the setting I did, which was basically the basics, 3 to 1, 10 milliseconds. Just gave it some gain. 6.8 dB. 6.8 dB. Sorry, probably can't read that. So that's that. That's enough about vocals. The next point of that was the verse, where the verses are the octave. I do 2 leads. As you hear, they both are in an octave above each other, and it's right here. It's intended to sound dark, somber, which actually kind of took care of itself. I don't even know if there was anything to really do with it. Yeah, see, I don't have any plugins on this. This was just straight mic and me conveying that through the way I sung it. Then I call these the cosmic leads. I did them on 2 different tracks, and they have a short delay on them, as well as some compression, because I put so much delay. Well, I don't know if I put so much delay. The point is, the signal was considerably weaker than the signal on those. Not to mention, there's 4 tracks for those other voices, and I only had 2 for this. But it creates the sound I want, because I wanted the octave thing to be lower. I mean, not lower, but thicker. And then this would sound more like a straightforward voice. To create, again, this kind of haunting thing on the first part. Not haunting, but, kind of dark and somber. And then the cosmic leads, I call them cosmic because, I don't know, it's kind of like taking things into the cosmic realm on these. As you hear right there, see. A lot of inspiration for this is like Queen and the soundtrack or the music they did for the movie Flash Gordon from the 80s. Yeah, I'm dating myself. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. So I kind of wanted that kind of Queen type vocal with some high pitches. I probably do that a bit in my music. Queen is one of my big influences. Of course, the music, again, is like jungle, primitive, mixed with future sci-fi. And I did a group thing again, grouped these tracks together so that I was able to move them in the mix together once I had created a relationship between each one. Awesome technique. Especially using that 4 dB rule. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So it feels like such a shortcut, basically. Anyway, so that filter that I put on these vocals, the short delay that I put on them, created that kind of not metallic, but ambient quality that made it sound a little, I guess you could say, cosmic. So that's why I ended up calling them cosmic leads. And then I had to compress them. So then the taiko drum. I knew early on that this taiko drum drives the song. I think it's a significant instrument. Came off of an Ensoniq keyboard. Taiko is right there. So I doubled it. And it gives it that driving primitive boom, 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 type thing. EQ'd it some in order to get it some articulation, because I spent quite a bit of time working the space between the taiko drum, the bass line, and that's pretty much it. Because there's different bass patterns and bass lines, bass instruments, or so to speak, in this song. So I had to work with those quite a bit. So I did some EQing to give that taiko drum some punch. That's the word. And then, of course, I put compression on it. Just quickly, the way I did bass on this song, there's what's called this high Q bass that came off of a Yamaha keyboard, and it's kind of a rubber bass, Bootsy Collins, synthy sounding bass, yeah, basically, which also to me gives it kind of a futuristic sound. And then I had another bass line, which is really a phaser bass, I believe it's what's called, off of the keyboard, which even itself, it's not like a clear pick pluck bass. It's kind of a synthy sounding, warm yet very fluid sound of bass. So the whole, so like the high Q really is what gives you more of the punchy bass, plucky bass, but it sounds futuristic. So I had to do some levels on that. I mean, this bass I was able to pull down pretty low, but you still hear it. And then, like I said, the high Q bass becomes, I don't even think I had to do, yeah, see, I thought I might have the EQ, but it's called a high Q bass, so I think it's kind of it's like an EQ'd instrument. So I didn't have to do much with that. The drum kit, a long time ago, basically I had tracked out kick and snare, and I put a clap that matches the snare hits. And, you know, I did EQing on that way long time ago. Had always been kind of mixing this song. I'm gonna look at that real quick. This is just kind of taking what is that? That's a snare. So I boosted some articulation on it, as well as some of its low, mid-low. That's kind of how I wanted the snare to have that thick sound. Drum-wise, I had a reference to this of a song called, for me anyway, it was Character by Van Hunt, which I used for my Bubble project and Recording Theory 2. One of my favorite produced, mixed songs, especially when it comes to just that drum sound. I'm not going to get all into the way I feel about it, but that was what I wanted to go for. It's a hard drum sound. It's a very powerful drum sound, and it has a snare with a clap combination, you know, so that's kind of what I wanted. The clap has reverb on it that I just used right out of the keyboard, so the reverb was already on the instrument. I decided not to mute that part of it or take that part off, and it just fit right in the mix perfectly well, the reverb that was already on it. So. Then, well, I already covered the rap vocals, so that was the next thing I had to do. So basically I have 5 points, which was the hook, the verse, vocals, the taiko drum itself. It drives the song along with the percussion and the hi-hat, which again, I had done stuff with those already to where they were doing that. The bongos percussion, it's like, I don't think I had to touch that at all. So basically, it was more or less a level where was the fader level on it. So that's Can You Feel It? And it just faded out, so that's perfect. And then, like I said, the rap vocals. So, what did I say? The taiko drum and the hi-hat and percussion was my third priority, and because it drives the song. Carving the space for the taiko along with the bass instruments was, or the low-end instruments, was number 4. And my 5th thing was getting the rap vocals right, which basically consisted of compression and fader levels, really. And when I grouped those together, you know, moving them up and down, creating a relationship between the main voice versus the lower tone and the higher effective tone. That's pretty much it. Probably spent a total of I mean, for at this during this stage, maybe 3 hours on it, because again, I have been tweaking it so much all along throughout the year since I started recording this, which was a while ago. So anyway, that's pretty much it. This mix is going to be posted along with this video. One thing though, that was one thing. I was mixing before, when I was slowly mixing this thing over the months, way too high. Like, it was a loud song. So like when I got to this point, I got used to doing You Should Know, like turning up my monitor or turning up the inbox monitoring control so high to listen to it in my room, and it was just ridiculous, especially with all that low end. The taiko and the bass line was like ridiculous. I thought I was gonna blow out my speakers. So I was like, dang, I'm really gonna have to lower this thing. So, because I really hadn't been using true mixing volumes when I was mixing before. Is basically what I'm saying. And the song's kind of meant to be loud or powerful, but not as loud as I had all the faders. I mean, like, everything was up here. Like, I had the lead vocals all the way at the top, and obviously that's no room for headroom. So what I did, grouping again, was created a group called 48. I don't know if you can read that. It's right there at the bottom. 48, which was basically all 48 tracks. So it was like all I had to do was with everything where it was set, group them, played them back, dropped, grabbed the first track bass line thing and took it down -4. Everything was moving down -4 in relation to where it was. And found my spot. I took it down -4 and made a MP3, and then it was just super quiet. It was ridiculous. So, or did I do 8? No, I did 4, and it sounded okay in the listening environment. But then, so yeah, then I took it down 8, and it was still sounding okay in the listening environment, and I was able to turn the monitor level up higher. But when I made that MP3, it was way too low. So I bumped it back up 4 dB. So instead of -8, I went up 4, so it was back to -4 dB down. And that's what the mix that I'm going to post is. I mean, I may still raise it some, but at least the levels and relationship of the tracks is pretty much set. And that was that. Peace.